What you got going on?
I'm just doing a story.
What you got going? What story?
Did you want to be interviewed?
Be happy to.
Okay, what's your name?
Dave Alavezas.
Dave Alavezas. So what do you do here?
I work at the DA's office.
The DA's office. Oh, nice.
Half a second.
So, okay.
Voicemail.
Okay, so have you ever heard of a First Amendment audit?
There's all kinds of audits. So
Okay, so a First Amendment audit is citizens that go around and just film federal installations and just make sure that everything is on the up and up, well-maintained buildings, seeing how our
the
officials...
First Amendment is the freedom of the press,
Yeah,
freedom of speech,
right.
freedom of religion.
Yes.
Okay. So you're,
freedom of press.
Well, yeah. So the question then would become, to me,
Right.
it's a building. How would it not be on the up and up?
Private citizens, we have every right to know where our tax dollars go and how
Mhm.
our officials are using our tax dollars, right?
Sure. Okay.
So that's basically what we do. We just go and practice our First Amendment rights. We go to all federal installations, courthouses, post offices, police departments,
Okay.
CIA, FBI.
Mhm.
We go everywhere, and Americans are just making sure, from sea to shining sea, we're making sure that all public officials respect the freedom of the press and freedom to record. Anything I can see from public view, you can't trespass my eyes. I can record, photograph, and everything.
Okay.
And so it's not a bad thing. Honestly, we're just trying to bring transparency between all officials and private citizens.
Okay.
And any argument that would be with me or any other channel
I
would
have a
be the same
question.
argument with Google Earth.
I'd have a question.
Yes.
Just because I'd heard this. I'd heard that, and this is just a personal, I'm wondering
Right.
what changed. I think it was the ACLU here maybe 2 years ago was saying that they wanted all police officers to have body cams.
Right. That doesn't pertain to what we're doing.
No,
Okay.
that's my.
All right.
No, that's what
Okay.
I'm asking. I
Right.
wanted to have your input. So, all police officers, they wanted to have body cams,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And do you remember reading about that
Yeah.
or anything? And then recently, they're now saying that they feel that police officers should not have body cams, should not be allowed to record.
Right.
So what happened?
So as a civilian, and what my channel, what I try to educate is that it doesn't really matter anymore if police officers have body cams or not. The quality is very bad either way. Sometimes when a civilian, private citizen really needs it, sometimes it doesn't show up, it gets lost, whatnot. So,
But why say not have it?
okay, well, it doesn't matter. I say yeah. My opinion is yes. Yeah, everybody, they
I'm
should all
just
have
wondering
them.
why the ACLU changed their
Okay,
stance.
no, well, my opinion is yes. Every officer should have a body cam, as well as dash cam. But what we're pushing is for First Amendment rights. First Amendment, people with cameras everywhere, so that all public officials are held accountable. So, for instance, if I have business at the DMV, I should be able to record my transaction, my business with that person, because we need to make sure that they are treat us in a professional manner. So to me, this ultimately erases racism throughout the United States. If
Racism?
yeah,
That
I'll
part
tell
I
you why.
don't understand.
Okay, let me explain to you. So a lot of people like to say that cops are bad. I'm not anti-cop.
Okay.
We're never going to get rid of the whole police force. We're never going to the whole justice system. We're not going to get rid of it, right? So we have to educate police officers as well as ourselves that they should always be held accountable, always be recorded when they're on the course of their duties.
Okay.
So, and that's just to make sure that everybody is just performing correctly.
Okay.
And so, in all honesty, ultimately,
So question.
Americans are waking up everywhere.
So question. Officers never know when they're going to get called to something serious coming on.
Right.
And how do you propose that somebody in the public is with them at all times so that they can see what's going on and what happens when they first get the call?
Okay, the main goal is for everybody to practice pulling out their phone and recording.
Okay.
That's the practice.
But officers, let's say an officer's standing over there and he gets a call, hey, there's a possible bank robbery or a carjacking or a kidnapping or whatever.
Right.
And so he's like, runs over, he jumps in his car. So you're recording here, but you can't jump in his car because you're 50 yards away. And
right.
Leaving.
Well, obviously I'm going to lose the footage.
So then he gets over 6 blocks away.
Right.
And when he arrives, nobody has any idea what's going on.
Right.
And so he's running out of his car. Nobody really even knows what's going on until maybe shots are fired.
Right.
So they don't see the first part.
Right.
They don't see any. What about that?
So here's my opinion on that. We are here just for as much as for the police as we are for the citizens.
Okay.
Want to make sure that the citizens' rights are not violated. Also, that if the police needs video to prove that the guy was lying, we'll give up that video.
Okay.
It'll be already posted. So there's no animosity towards police. I'm not anti-cop. A lot of auditors, if you type in, I would say this, okay? Go home, YouTube, First Amendment audit. Okay? Watch. There's a lot of jackasses in our field, just like there are in the police force. And I believe that we're all human. Police are human. And we're not terrorists. And a lot of times people like me recording, and we should be able to be allowed to record and hold them accountable for when they make mistakes, right? And so when we're considered terrorists for doing this, we lost. In America, we lost.
Think about it, one other thing, just for you to think about. I've had a long life of dealing in criminal justice system.
Right.
And I know for an absolute fact that law enforcement have discovered that gang members are doing counter surveillance on them. They find this out sometimes when they get, say, photographs mailed to the police department of their house with their car and threats and stuff like that. Do you see where maybe an officer might be
do you believe
concerned about that?
Does suspicion trump the First Amendment?
No, I'm just asking. Do you see where that might cause a great amount of stress?
But
to
other
the
people's
officer?
feelings do not trump the Constitution.
I'm asking if you think that might be stressful.
Stressful or not, you want to know what stressful is as a father? That my son gets out of a car with the phone in his hand and gets shot by a police officer. That's my fear.
And what do you think along those lines?
Right.
Let's say the officer had just gotten home and the night before and found an envelope sitting on his, because this has happened, I've seen this happen, and found an envelope with a bunch of photographs of him, his kids, and his house, and a threat, a vague threat of something bad's going to happen to you. And the next day he goes to make a stop on somebody, and it's some kid who doesn't know what's going on, doesn't follow directions for whatever reason, and the officer's already kind of stressed out because he has gotten a threat on his life, and this is the next morning. Here's somebody who's not following directions. You see where maybe just that stress might make the situation more dangerous.
Dude, that officer at that moment should quit.
Yeah?
If he's not equipped to do the job, if he's too much of a pansy, he should
He
should drop his badge and quit and go home.
Okay.
Because a police officer, they are hired to do a job. And I'll tell you something else. Police officers work for us as citizens. They work for us until we break the law.
Okay. And they also protect us citizens, right?
Dude, we protect ourselves.
Okay.
That's why we have the Second Amendment. Okay?
So,
we protect ourselves as citizens. If I live at home.
So if some kid
right.
is walking down the street, he doesn't have a gun, and some gangster comes along, and I've seen this happen a lot. They see him. Case I remember happening in Exeter about 15 years ago. Guy comes out of his house. He's got himself like a 6-month-old puppy. He has a blue collar on the puppy and a blue leash in his hand. Why? Because I guess maybe that's the color they had at the store. Some Norteños came along. They assumed, because he has a puppy with a blue collar and a blue leash, that he's Serenian. And they end up shooting him 4 times in the chest in front of his house. He didn't have a gun.
I can't comment
He didn't have a gun.
I can't comment on stupidities, okay? Because I don't understand the whole gang stuff either, and I don't care for it. Okay.
But do you see what I'm saying? You say you have a Second Amendment right. That kid had a Second Amendment right, but he didn't have a gun.
Okay.
And he survived. That was the good part.
Okay. So.
But the people who did that, it required law enforcement to go out and find out who they were, do an investigation, and find the people who shot that kid.
Okay, so we can point out a whole bunch of small scenarios and look at isolated.
That's small.
Isolated.
That's
okay.
normal.
Okay. So let me put it like this. In this context, that is an isolated incident. Okay.
Well,
right
I
or
can
wrong.
tell you a lot of those.
So so we have isolated incidents. That's all that is, bro. Just isolated incidents. But what we have in America is the Constitution. It trumps all those isolated incidents, and no matter what happens in any of those isolated incidents, these constitutional rights need to stay intact.
Well,
if we don't press, okay, so you're giving me scenarios of why police officers would fear the camera, right? Or fear us doing what we do, right? You're giving me scenarios.
You would definitely.
I'm following you along.
You can see where that would be stressful, not just officers, but anybody.
If an officer is stressed, he should drop his badge and go home.
What? Just as an aside.
Right.
What if not?
They signed to do that. They signed on for that stress, and they know that stress is there.
What if you're here?
What if I'm what?
You're here. You're videotaping people,
right?
And a gangster comes out of here, and for whatever reason, he thinks that you're on the other side.
Well, tell him just like we tell every police officer: we're here for your safety. We're here for the safety of everybody.
He doesn't believe it.
Man, he can do what he wants, and if he does something that's illegal, he's going to be in trouble for it.
All right.
And I have the right to defend myself.
Yes.
Yes. But what?
Most gang shootings,
if it's over for me,
aren't armed when they get shot.
Bro, so you're saying so?
I came in late. Let me pass rather than interject.
All right.
So your issue, I don't know. Did you engage the conversation? What is your?
I just was curious why the camera was going. That was all. It's unusual.
Right.
It's out of the norm.
Right. We're just practicing our First Amendment right to film in public.
Right, and I didn't say anything about that. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because but I was saying that he was talking about officers and that kind of thing, and I was saying that when you have somebody, because we see this happen with officers, where they get people surveilling their houses and then leave pictures of them and their kids. And
that's not what we're doing, bro.
Right.
That's not what we're
doing. You're doing that. I'm not.
Right. I understand you're not.
And then I'm saying that obviously that's going to put some stress on the officer. What happens the next day when the officer makes contact with somebody and they maybe had those photographs laid on their deal? Like, you tell me that you're doing this, I'm fine with that, right?
Right.
But if you didn't tell the officer that,
so you have
wondering, hey, maybe that's the same crew that was leaving
the
pictures
on my doorstep.
What
the police departments are doing now is they're training their officers that what we do, because
that's right. We've already made a change.
So they're training. There's training going on as we speak, and they're training officers about what we're doing. So that scenario, I hear what you're saying.
You can't deem a legal activity suspicious. So in other words, no. Does that make sense?
No. You
cannot deem a legal activity.
Every citizen can deem a legal activity suspicious.
Right.
Okay?
But that doesn't make it against the law.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely.
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
That's
it doesn't
right.
make it against the law.
Sure.
But if you are sitting in your home and somebody shows up, this is a common situation. You probably have heard about
As long as they don't step in my yard, they're good to go, bro.
No, they're legally allowed to come walk up, knock on your door.
That's right. That's right.
One thing that people are doing real regularly nowadays is they go up to a house and they knock on a door,
see if anybody's there, and then
they listen. Okay, is there a dog there?
Sure.
Or somebody going to come to the door? And they wait about 5-10 minutes.
Right.
Usually not quite that long, and then they'll kick in the door if nobody answers.
So you've given us a lot of wait, hold on, Phil. But check this out. You've given us a lot of scenarios that incite fear.
No.
I don't live in fear. We do not live in fear. I'm not afraid of gangsters, bro.
Would you be suspicious if somebody came up to your house?
Okay, hold on,
like
Phil. Check this out.
11:30 at night.
Listen.
And said,
let me give you a scenario.
You don't recognize.
So you asked me about the police body cams, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's gonna cost taxpayers so much money.
Oh,
right?
There's all kinds of other
so check
issues
this out.
with it,
Check this out. What if taxpayers decided to buy their own body cams and turn them on whenever there was an officer that pulled over? It'd be so much cheaper, better quality and everything. What do you have to say about that? Would you would you recommend
have a GoPro.
Okay,
People
so
can do that.
would you recommend people wear body cams at all times to protect themselves?
I have one. I can't. I just. It's a pain in the neck to have one all the time.
So
But you have your phone. But you have your phone, and your phone.
To pull it out.
I'm sure you have a good phone, and I'm sure that you know how to push record, and I'm sure you get good quality. You have in your pocket, you have $70,000 worth of video equipment. That's what people were making movies with 10, 20 years ago.
Sure.
Okay, so you have good enough quality to record.
I got to run.
So
I'm
if
gonna have a
Americans
business close on me in a minute.
Let me just answer your
Sure.
question. Yeah.